Well, I couldn't resist taking this thing apart. Again, this is the Electronic Ignition Amplifier, and as you can see, I've cleaned the back of it up quite a bit. Gotten rid of all the rust, surface rust at least, cleaned up the bolt heads a little bit, and just wanted to see, you know, kind of what was going on down there. And it doesn't look like it rusted all the way through. It was just surface rust. It was just built up really bad. I think most of that is not from outside weather. I think it is from the mice that were living right above it. They had a nest right up in here. And I just think, you know, the urine and everything like that coming down, and, you know, it just over time eroded it, and that's where it's at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up right now while I've got it on film. That way you get to see the inside of it the first time, just like I do. So here we go. I've already loosened this one up just to make sure they were going to come out, and they seem to have. So yeah, it's not going to come out easy, is it? Alright. Nothing ever easy on older machines. So just keep that in mind when you're working on them. Take your time, relax, don't try to force things, because when you start to force things, you break things. And that's just something new you gotta buy. So, alright, there's bolt one. Maybe you can see the difference there in the rust underneath that bolt head and the rest that I cleaned off. Alright, move on to the next one. Coming off too. That's good. Nope, thought I had it. Feels good. Feels. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. Alright, there's two. No rust under that one, surprisingly, but it did have that caulk, that white caulking under it. So whoever put the caulking on at least helped that situation. Alright, moving on. Alright, we're going to try it without the ratchet itself. There we go. Alright, same thing here. The caulk, RTV, whatever it is, seemed to have come out, and no rust under there. So, excellent. There's three. Last one. I wonder, no, okay. Last one. And oddly, the only socket I can find to fit this is a 5.5 millimeter. Never used one before in my life, so first time for everything, right? So there you go. 5.5 millimeter socket for this weird little bolt head. Alright, the back is unbolted. I'm gonna see if I can't just lift it off. Doesn't appear to just pop off. Alright, we break out the knife. And we're going to see if I can do this in a safe direction. Try to, oh, there it went. Yep, just slipped right down in there. So there it is. That's what it looks like on the inside. If you can see that, lots of rust. Whatever that RTV stuff was, looks like. Lay that there. This also is the RTV stuff, and it looks like there's a gasket in there too. Yeah, there is. Yep, there's a gasket in there. So this, somebody must have had this apart at one point. There's the gasket, and there's the board, which actually doesn't look bad. I mean, it's dusty, but that could be from when I just took that off. So yeah, I can see there are, oh wait, what's this? Oh, more RTV. I can see that there's some RTV residue in here, so I'm just going to dig it out real quick without, you know, messing up the board itself. There we go. But yeah, that's what it looks like in there. Surprisingly in good shape. I thought it would look worse. I really did. I'm glad it doesn't. So instead of buying a new one, I am going to take these, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little nuts out, or bolts out, and get a good look at the other side of it and make sure it looks okay. Because over here you can see whatever this little hole here is. Let me show you a little better. Whatever that little hole is, it kind of continues through to this side, see? Which makes me wonder, I don't feel any other ones under here, so I don't think there are, but whatever it is, it's affected by this outside part here. So I've cleaned that up, you can tell. And so I want to get the board off and kind of see what that's all about. Like I said, I have no idea what this is. I'm just learning myself. So we'll get that taken apart, and that's the next step. Alright, we've got the bolts out, and I've already pulled this off just to kind of get a look at it. So here you go. That's what it looks like underneath. Not bad. I see no corrosion, nothing bad, so that's a really good sign. Now here's what the board looked like on the outside. Now on the internals, here's what we got. Don't see any real corrosion. Actually, it looks pretty lubricated. Yeah, there's something on here. This, which I don't know what it is, it just kind of sits here like that. I don't know if you can see that. I have no clue what that is, but it apparently meets up with this little hole right here, and maybe, you know, gauges the outside temperature. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Either way, it's got a ton of RTV on it, and I'm assuming it's probably not supposed to. So I may pull that off. I don't know. We'll see. Right now I'm just going to leave it alone because that's the way it was, and I guess it was running at one point this way, so why shouldn't it again, right? But yeah, this looks like it's not the issue. At first I was thinking that this probably whole box was bad, but you know, now that I've pulled it apart, everything looks good. Even all the solder points look like they're shiny. None of them look burnt out. And this is an old circuit board, so you know, it's much easier to tell on these than it is like the newer ones where everything's really consolidated and you've got all the, you know, the tiny capacitors and, you know, things like that. Anyway, this one looks good. I don't see any issue with it, so I don't think I'm gonna replace it. I think I'm just gonna put it back together now that it's cleaned up, and move on. I guess the next step is to clean these, the leads, because man, they're just terrible, you know, all of them green as can be. So maybe that was my only problem, who knows, but I think I'm good with this board. I don't want to mess with it. I'm not going to buy a new one right now. I'm just going to put it back together and somehow try to clean all these leads up. Not quite sure how to do that yet, but probably use something like this wire brush right here. It's a steel one. I prefer brass, but you know, it's the one I have on hand, so it's the one I'll use. I'll probably use something like that to clean it up. To clean the box itself, I used the good old drill. And yes, I got it caught in my t-shirt several times, and had to unwind the drill out of my t-shirt. If you've never done that, then you know you're not putting in the right effort. Anyway, yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm putting this back together. I think it's okay. I'm going to clean this up, obviously. I will definitely make a new gasket for that. That looks like it's made out of paper. I'm going to make one out of cork. I've got some cork, and I think it'll work better. So it'll keep the moisture out better. And I'll clean all the rust off of this and everything too, so that it gets good seal. Make sure I clean up, you know, sorry, I got that in the way. Make sure I clean up this edge so that it gets a good seal. And I probably won't RTV it or anything, except for maybe around this joint here where the electrical wires come in. I may toss some RTV in there just to complete the seal. But I want that box to be sealed up as much as possible. So that's, oh, goes this way, right? Goes like that. So that is the next step. Go ahead and clean this up, make a new gasket for it. Bolt this back into place, and then seal it up. And then clean all this, and that's the next steps, which I probably won't do till tomorrow, but maybe not till next weekend, I don't know. But that's where I'm at right now. I'm trying to keep you as updated as possible with everything, and you know, there's little steps here and there in between where I have to stop and have a drink. But yeah, she's coming along, and you know, that's what it comes down to, is getting into the little details like this, making sure the little things like this are all working properly. Yeah, see, that sat right back down into where it was supposed to, so that's good. I like that. We're going to pull it back out of there, though. Alright, there we go. Yep, there we go. So, that's next. Get this put back together and cleaned up, and I'm going to make a brand new gasket for this. This looks like it's made out of paper, cardboard almost. I mean, it's probably original, but it's not as good as it could be. So I think if I make one out of cork, it's going to work much better at keeping the water out. And of course I will line it with RTV again, so because that seemed to have done a really good job, whereas at first I thought it made, you know, things worse, but it didn't. It seemed to have actually helped. So I'm gonna redo the RTV, make a new gasket for it, RTV around this, which is here, and that's the next one, I guess. Oh, my tripod's not working correctly. What are you doing to me? So what I'm going to do now, I'm not going to do it right this minute, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. This is the old gasket from this box, the Electronic Ignition Amplifier. Had a gasket around it behind this plate, which, as you can see, I've cleaned up nicely, gotten rid of all the rust. Gotten rid of all the rust on the, well, I got hit the bolt hole still, but got rid of most of the rust on this side. I'll finish that out. What I'll probably do once I get this all put together and sealed up nicely is I'll clear coat the whole thing. You know, I'll just throw some, oh, I got some here, give me a second. I don't know where I put it. Anyway, I've got some clear coat, plenty of clear coat. So I'll just, you know, clear coat the whole thing. That way, it's really good because the clear coat I have has primer in it. You know, it's just cheapo spray can, Rust-Oleum, I believe, brand. I don't know where it is, but anyway, it works really good. I haven't had any issues with it, so I will clean this backside up a little better and clear coat the whole thing. That way we know for sure it's not going to rust again. May even clear coat it after I put it all back together. That way it seals all the bolts and everything. It just seals everything up. That way that whole unit is kind of sealed. What I am worried about is these two little holes here, and it looks like they were only there to hold that little piece in place that was inside, because this piece still moves, and it looks like it used to have a rivet on it or something at some point, which seems to be gone now. But I don't know if you can see that moving in there, but it's moving around, so I don't know that I'm too worried about that, but we'll see. One of those things I have no clue, but I'll just have to figure it out. Alright, so anyway, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to basically lay the old gasket on top of this gasket, and then just take a pen or a pencil, and mark it out. Mark the whole thing out. I'm going to pull all this rubbery stuff off first, but mark it out and just make a brand new gasket for it. The new gasket, this material is thicker than the original. Looks like it's about twice as thick, but I've checked the bolts and they're plenty long enough, so it'll definitely, as you can see, it'll definitely go through the thicker gasket. And since this is not pressurized or anything like that, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be sealed or anything like that. The cork itself should seal it up pretty well. So that is the next step, is make a new gasket. And then I'll RTV, and I may run just a tiny little smear around just to be safe. But yeah, that's it.